This is the Fearless Finance Podcast with Amy Ross. Amy and the team at Gold Shield Wealth are dedicated to helping adults plan for and manage the hurdles they may face on their journey to retirement. Get more, including contact information in the show notes. Now, Fearless Finance with financial advisor Amy Ross.
Before we get to some really interesting conversations about income, about annuities, about second opinions, first and foremost, we got some housekeeping to take care of. Last weekend, your daughter was up for a huge award. The news did not come in during the show, but if they missed it last week, what was she up for? And more importantly, how did it play out?
So my daughter, Corinne, who is a sophomore at Carolina Forest High School, was one of 3 children from the state of South Carolina to compete in financial consulting internationally in Atlanta last week. Mm-hmm. And I am happy and so proud to say that she made it to the top 10. Yes. So she didn't win, but as a sophomore, to even make it to the top 10 is huge. And she had to point out that the kid who made number 1 in South Carolina, because she was number 2, the kid who made number 1 in South Carolina didn't even make it in the top 20. So she had to say that.
That's
so
awesome.
She was on her game and did quite well. So she's ready for next year. She's going to try to do better. But she was number 10 out of, there were 20,000 kids total competing in, I think it was 5 or 6 categories. So thousands of children. So yeah.
This wasn't a participation ribbon. This was legit.
It was not. We don't do
real
participation trophies in the Ross house. Don't even mention that.
Heck yeah. So what does this mean for her going forward? I know we had talked last week a little bit about potential for a scholarship or potential for help.
Well, the scholarships are huge, but more so, she wants to go to an Ivy League college. She wants to continue on my legacy that I'm building now with Gold Shield Wealth. And so her goal is to get into Ivy League. So with those kids, it's very competitive. It's not just about your grades. I mean, she has a 5.3 GPA in all honors classes, but there are a lot of smart kids. You have to show that you're well-rounded. So the more you can do extracurricular, that's what she's nailing down. So she did that. She's head drum major, which is huge. You know, all the different things that you can juggle, these colleges look at. They're like, well, you're a well-balanced person, not just smart, but you're well-rounded.
Would you consider your daughter? Would this be like a succession plan?
Oh, absolutely. I introduce her. If you come and see me at a dinner seminar, you will see Miss Rennie's picture. Corinne. Her name is Corinne. I call her Rennie. But yeah, she is definitely part of my succession plan because what I'm building, I want it to last generations. You know, that to me means so much more. And I can teach the generations coming up how things need to be done and try to carry on the Amy way of doing things, which is to show as much love and kindness as possible.
I love that. And for a lot of people that, you know, want to work with a financial advisor and they think, well, yeah, how do I know that they're going to be here? Or eventually that advisor, they're going to want to retire as well. Then what for me? Well, that's a great sign from Amy and the team at Gold Shield Wealth. We invite you to spend some time at goldshieldwealth.com.
And let's just point out, Mark, I've got 20 years left in me too. So I'm not going anywhere anytime soon. So my goal is to get her out of college and then actually work alongside my own daughter for 10 years. That's my dream right there. And I can work with her and build things together.
Now, take away what you do. Take away the business aspect from it, the mom aspect of that, to work with your daughter. That's a pretty cool feeling.
Pretty cool, right? It really is. I mean, not many moms can say they've ever been able to do that. And I actually just hired my stepdaughter a few minutes ago. So I've got one kid on payroll already. We'll talk about that more later, though.
That's awesome. All right, goldshieldwealth.com or online at 843-585-5223. But realize this, too, as Amy introduces you to her daughter or her stepdaughter, this isn't like the kids need a summer job, let's bring them in. They got to work for it. They got to understand the industry. They're going to college. They're going to classes. They're getting the knowledge as well to help out the families that Amy serves. 843-585-5223. Again, online at goldshieldwealth.com. All right, other piece of housekeeping, a little more fun. You got to throw out the first pitch at a minor league baseball game last week.
Boy, did I ever. And I am not an athletic baseball thrower. But you know what? I made it. At least it made it across the plate. It didn't really cross the actual plate, though. It was a little bit to the right by about 5 feet. Oh. But I did get it in the vicinity.
Listen,
I was proud of that.
There were some teams that could probably use your help right now. I'm surprised you didn't have any agents calling you looking for them.
Maybe. I don't know. But you know what made it the best was all of my people up there cheering for me. You know, that was fun just to know I got people rooting for me. I can get it over that plate.
This was
I did the best I could.
A Pelicans game, Myrtle Beach Pelicans?
Yeah.
That was it. That's fantastic.
And that stadium is amazing now. The food was phenomenal. I rented a suite and took 24 of my people with me. And we were highly impressed with the food. usually food at places like that's not great. But yeah, we had the beer flowing, the nachos, you name it. We had a good old time.
Sounds like the perfect day. Yeah, go support minor league baseball as well, because that's a future of baseball, and it's budget-friendly experience, especially for the kids as well. And you're supporting the local
and a nice
community.
Experience, a really good family-friendly experience.
Well, congrats, Amy. We'll see you in the big league. See you in the Hall of Fame coming up next. GoldShieldWealth.com to meet Amy and the team, or you can give them a call at any time, 843-585-5223. All right, Amy, let's get to it, because you mentioned before we got started this weekend that people are actually coming up to you and they have questions. And it's not questions about their tax strategy. It's not questions about Social Security. This is a question that can be kind of controversial. And we're talking about annuities. They're much more popular than we think they are. Last year, over $464 billion, with a B, $1 billion worth of annuities were sold, setting yet another record. Why do you think they're so popular now? And what are these conversations like?
It's kind of crazy how much more popular they are becoming. And I get a lot of calls of people specifically asking for annuities. It seemed like, prior to, recently, you almost had to almost present them more, but they're coming to me with questions. And I believe it's due to different reasons, but the age bracket, depending on where you're at in your life, when you hit that 60, 65, even late 50s, and you're close to retirement, you really don't want to ride the stock market roller coaster as aggressively as maybe you did at our age. That's just nature. You want to pull back on that risk. And the way that the insurance carriers, a lot of the top tier carriers are offering such amazing rates right now, that it's kind of a no brainer. A lot of mine that are this whole year, the stock market has done so well. I've got people double digit returns with zero risk in an annuity. So the key is to find the right annuity. That's the key. So when people call me, I try to dig in to see exactly what are we looking for, because an annuity is an insurance product. You buy it for a reason. It's an intentional. A lot of people like Dave Ramsey. He has his envelopes. You're intentional about things.
Right.
So that's where an annuity really fits into your portfolio, when you intentionally maybe want to take the risk off of some of the money and transfer that to the insurance carrier's shoulders.
Why do you think there's this negative stigma behind it? Is because you said it is an insurance product, and people, for whatever reason, maybe they're not well educated on annuities, but they hear insurance and they think, oh, my car insurance or my homeowner's insurance, and I've had bad experiences.
They do, but I'll tell you, the reason I believe that they have such a bad name is the fact that a lot of the people that sell annuities, they're not educated as to exactly how to use them. An annuity is a commission sale. So there are some insurance agents that, just use specific products, and that's just kind of what they're used to. They don't perform. I move annuities a lot that are just subpar products. They're just not doing what they need to do. So all annuities are not equal. They're just not, So if you want to look for something for growth, well, then you need to shop for companies that are going to bat hard on that side of the industry. Yeah. So a lot of times, I tell, if you come to see one of my seminars, one of my talks, I talk about ketchup, and people always giggle when I talk about ketchup. But, there's a difference in the way ketchup tastes between Heinz versus Hunt's, is there not?
There is.
So a lot of times people have bought an annuity, but they bought the wrong brand. And it's not doing what they want to do for them because it wasn't built to do that to begin with. So really understanding the type of annuity, that can help with the happiness factor of the actual product.
You mentioned that sometimes you have to shop around for the right one. Is that up to us, or do you do the shopping to find?
I do that. That's my job.
Right.
I like to shop.
Is there too many?
I just need to know what I'm shopping for.
Right. Can you have too many annuities? Can you find, I think this will be good for this percentage, I think we put a percentage into this one, or is it?
There's a happy balance, truly dependent on, how much money you have to work with, but you really shouldn't have more, in my opinion. Some advisors say 50%, some say 65%. But, anytime that you transfer risk over to an insurance company's shoulders, there are rules that you have to follow within that annuity. So generally, you don't want to put all your money in annuities. And on average, I do like to move them into, if we're using $1 million, I would probably pick two to three different companies, to kind of give you some diversification even in your annuities. But I will say this, I just sat down with someone this week who has 14 annuities right? And 1.5 million over 14 annuities.
That's like a lot.
And from 5 different insurance reps in the area. And we're trying to do estate planning for her because she's in her 80s now. And that's making it extremely hard having all that going on. So again, you got to use a little bit of common sense with things. Having 20,000 in 5 different ones.
Yeah.
Not always the best move.
Right. And it's all about the conversation and finding the product that's going to fit you best. Because at the end of the day, and correct me if I'm wrong here, Amy, an annuities are just a pension. Because we always talk about our parents, our grandparents had a pension. Well, I don't have one.
Not always. Again, there comes your Hunts versus Hines, right? Okay. There are annuities that are geared to be a man-made pension. Those are annuities that have income riders. But those products are not going to give you as good of growth if you're just looking for principal protection and actual growth on your money. So again, you got to figure out what kind of ketchup you want me to shop for.
So I want to talk to those people right now, Amy, that are maybe looking for that second opinion. Or maybe they're just on the hunt for the right advisor for the first time. If you're looking for that advisor, recommendations can and will come from anywhere. They come online, family, friends. But when you're actually interviewing an advisor, what should you be paying attention to? I want you to hear this clip from wealth manager Brandon Mull, who told the Broadcast Retirement Network,
"You're going to be working with your advisor for the long term and through major life events. And all of those things, a good advisor will step through those life phases with you. And if you meet someone through your brother-in-law or at a country club, it might work out, but you never really know. So you really want to evaluate that personal fit and relationship. And you're trying to understand as well, will this person call me back? How much did they care about me? Are they listening more than talking at me? And they should be able to give you a really good comfort level and confidence that, hey, even when the market is up and down and sideways and whatever, I have a good understanding of the plan we have in place, and I have every confidence that you'll be right by my side."
I want to go back to what he was talking there about listening and talking. Amy, when somebody comes in and sits down with you, or maybe they're just interviewing advisors from across the community, what are some of the red flags that it may not be a good fit? You may not be a good fit for them, or they may not be a good fit for you. What do you see?
You know, it's funny that this topic came up today because that's truly what my first consultation is all about, is making sure that we are a good fit. And to do that, it requires a great deal of vulnerability on that person's part to talk to me and to let me know what they're thinking. I guess I've just learned throughout my time of doing this and working with people that for me to do a good job for someone, I have to feel a connection with them as well. If they're guarded and they won't give me information, or they just want to give me partial information, that's when I freeze, because I never want to give out information without knowing all of my facts.
Right.
Because people bring me one account and say, I want you to tell me what to do with this one account. Well, if you don't feel comfortable enough with me to tell me how it fits in with everything else, it pretty much ties my hands behind my back to where I can't help you effectively. But people aren't good at being vulnerable. And another thing too is a lot of people feel embarrassed. A lot of times people feel completely embarrassed to even come and sit down with someone. So, when they can open up and bare their heart to me, that to me is someone I want to work with.
But it's because we've all made financial mistakes in the past. So I can kind of understand that, because it's like, we've made the analogy before. It's like going to the dentist. We all sit there and we lay in that chair and open our mouth, and we're embarrassed that we don't floss enough. Maybe we don't come to see the dentist enough. And so we think to ourselves, I feel bad for this, dental hygienist. They're about to see the worst mouth of the day. But I think it's probably safe to say that your mouth is not the worst one they're going to see this month.
That's just it. You always think that your troubles and your mess is bigger and better than other people's, but it's just not. And I try to impress that on people when they talk to me. I'm like, don't compare yourself to everybody else. I mean, everybody always embellishes. Most people will embellish what they have saved. And so you can't believe what your friends are telling you. That's the worst thing to do. I call that Waffle House advice. You never want Waffle House advice. Your friends tell you they're doing this, but they don't tell you the whole picture of why.
Yeah.
Most times. And then also transitioning from a growth phase in retirement to actual, when you need someone to walk through all those different phases with you, that's a whole different style of advisor, right? If you're just worried about growing your money, you don't care if they know your kids' names or how many grandkids you have and all that. But, when I take on a client, I laughingly say it's not a one night stand. It's we're going steady.
We're in it now.
And, I need to know things about you so that when things happen, your family knows who even I am and they know who to call. That's the type of advisor I am. So I don't take on just anybody, because I like to have that intimate relationship with all my people.
Have you told people no? People sit down with
Absolutely.
you, like, I don't think we're a good
I
fit?
actually tell people no a lot. If it doesn't feel right in my heart to where I feel like I can't do the job that they expect me to do, then I just, I won't do us a disservice by saying yes.
Yeah. Amy lives here. She works here. She plays here. You will meet with Amy Ross. You will shake
More
her
than
hand.
once, you get a hug. Honestly, you get a hug from me.
Yeah. When somebody comes in, I know Dirty Myrtle is big on people moving down from the north, from New York, from Philly, from Chicago, maybe out in LA, those high tax states, come on down to the beach, thinking about setting up shop for retirement, and they look to you for that second opinion. What are some of the biggest questions or reasons why somebody wants to get away from that big box firm and come work with more of a boutique firm like Gold Shield Wealth?
They want that personal touch. They want someone that they can actually, because generally when you're younger, you don't really have health conditions to navigate. You're not trying to decide when to start Social Security or looking at how everything flows in together. So it's just you need a different style of advisor when you are actually in retirement. And then having someone, and a lot of times I sat down with someone last week and they're like, yeah, we were with, Vanguard. And what do you think about Vanguard? And I'm like, well, Vanguard's a company. I'm like, Vanguard, it depends on your advisor that you get at Vanguard as to how good Vanguard is, right?
Yeah.
That you're at the mercy of the person you're working with. And so when everything is so digital and virtual, you don't ever get that. You don't ever get an Amy hug. You don't ever get to look at each other in the eyes, and because you can feel so much more in person. So that's what a lot of people desire when you're older. You want somebody that you can actually come and sit down with. My clients stop and have coffee with me, and it makes my day, because that's really what they deserve at that point.
Not to call out the families you've served, but you've told me before off there that you've had some of the family members, they don't need any business. They're fine. They're happily retired. They just come in to say hey and sit down on the couch and have a cup of coffee. And so, Amy, what's going on? How's the family doing?
They do. We had two pop by yesterday. It was so much fun. Just stopping by to say hello. But that is so reassuring to me that I'm giving my clients what I wanted to. And that's a home to come to, a place that feels safe to come and talk about all these things. That's what my goal was. So if they want to stop and have coffee, I think I had 5 cups of coffee yesterday.
Maybe that's what it is. Maybe your coffee at Gold Shield Wealth is top notch. Who's in charge of making it?
Well, it's a Keurig, but I'm in charge of the selection. My job, I don't do any of the other housekeeping stuff, but my job is the candy bar drawer.
Yes, ma'am.
And the coffee selection. And it is banging, let me tell you. I do a really good job on those two things.
That's the important aspects. All
It
right.
really is.
Everything else
It
is
is.
secondary. That's where we got to get serious. But you have to be mentally prepared to retire, Amy, because there was a recent Flex Job study that found while 82% of American workers have that paid time off, nearly 25% don't take a single vacation day, and they haven't taken one in the past year. Who are these people, and why do they do this?
I never understood that, because even when I worked for other people, not for myself, I use my vacation time.
Yes.
It's there for a reason. Your mental health means something too. And I encourage all of my staff. I'm like, I want them to take their time off.
They, what did they say in this study? They were talking about the heavy workloads, expectations from senior leadership, the company culture. What kind of company culture doesn't want you to take a vacation? But let me flip that to what you do. For those adults who are almost retired, but can't step away for a full week off of vacation, how can you put together a plan? How can you help them get across that burnout issue so that they can actually go enjoy and be ready for retirement?
It's a tough switch in people's brains to be able to quit. It's funny that this one comes up too, because I'm actually helping someone who is 68 and her employer's working her to death. I mean, it's like to the point to where it's just not healthy for her to work anymore. And, we're trying to transition her out. One thing that a lot of people miss is that, do a hybrid retirement. If you're just waiting for Social Security to kick in, come on in, we'll look at your finances and see what we can, it's kind of, sometimes you just need a Band-Aid, right? You just need something to get you to where you need to go and where you're not miserable, because being miserable at that age is just, it's not fun. And I see it so much because baby boomers, they're workhorses, they're good workers. And, most of them by that time, they know the job like the back of their hand. And, they get abused in that sense.
Yeah.
So I'm big on hybrid retirement. I'm like, go do something that you want to do, get through it, and then we can, start Social Security, Medicare, and all of those things that you need. But that's where you're looking at your savings and seeing how you can make it work for you.
We've talked about it before. That's what they call the test driving of the retirement. You can help somebody. It's in their early to mid 60s. Have that hybrid retirement. Let's test drive.
Yeah, all
see if
the
you like it
time.
financially
you can
and
just
mentally.
dabble your toes in. That's always say, let's just dabble our toe in here. We don't have to go all in. The biggest thing that is hard for people to navigate, though, is trying to retire early or step away from that full-time job that offered benefits, is unless their spouse can still access healthcare insurance. There's a gap there that can be quite costly. So we have to look at that and see, what is it really worth to you? But, if you're really to where your job is grueling and it's wearing you down and eating away at your good years and your health, that's where you really have to look and weigh out things. That's where my healthcare brain really kicks in, Mark. And I look at that too, because life is not about, it's about quality.
That's
you
right.
want that quality, not just going through each day just to live through them. That's no good.
Yeah, and we're not saying that, the working because you feel like you're forced to or you're too scared to leave. There are some people that just have that work ethic where they love what they do, and they're not taking their vacation.
I work with a lot of college professors and doctors and people who their brain needs that. Their brain craves that.
Yeah.
And so they don't, a lot of times their wives will sit, or sometimes it's the husband actually, they'll sit across from me, just look at me with this most pitiful eyes, like, can you please convince them to stop working so I have a buddy to go do stuff with? But I do see that quite a bit. But, there's a flip side to that, because keeping that mental health sharp, that's so important during retirement too. And a lot of people miss that. So when you take away what stimulates you each day,
yes, ma'am,
to feel like you're contributing to society, a lot of times people can really sink into a depression, which is not healthy at all.
843-585-5223. Before we hit pause, more big news coming from the team at Gold Shield Wealth. You teased it at the beginning of the show, but a new member of the team. Who's joining you, Amy?
Yeah, so Andrew's oldest, Lexi, she just graduated from High Point University with multiple honors this weekend, and informed me that she needed a job so she could get herself through grad school. She was accepted to Columbia, so I got one in Ivy and one trying to get an Ivy.
I love it.
So yes, Lexi is going to be joining my team to help with planning my events. I love to do events, so that's almost a full-time job for someone, just booking out all the events Amy wants to do for people. But yeah, I'm thrilled to have her. It's bittersweet, Mark. I wanted to build something that I could possibly bring my children into, and having one on payroll, man, it's funny.
It's happening.
It's like, wow, okay, I actually did this.
And you mentioned something off the air that Lexi's going to be helping out with your social media aspect. I've said every small business owner needs someone younger than them to take care of the social media.
Oh my God. You are not kidding, Mark. I've got better things to do than take video clips of myself and post pictures constantly. But we are living in such a digital world now. You get left behind unless you have a presence online. And so that's why I just hired her to do it. I know she's very good at social media. I've watched her grow up. So I'm like,
she's got it down.
That job she can definitely do.
Insurance products are offered through the insurance business Gold Shield Wealth Financial. Gold Shield Wealth is an investment advisory practice that offers products and services through Impact Partnership Wealth, LLC, IPW, a registered investment advisor. IPW does not offer insurance products. The insurance products offered by Gold Shield Wealth Financial are not subject to investment advisor requirements. Gold Shield Wealth Financial and IPW are not affiliated companies. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Any references to protection, safety, or lifetime income generally refer to fixed insurance products, never securities or investments. Insurance guarantees are backed by the financial strength and claims paying abilities of the issuing carrier. This radio show is intended for informational purposes only. It is not intended to be used as the sole basis for financial decisions, nor should it be construed as advice designed to meet the particular needs of an individual situation. Gold Shield Wealth is not permitted to offer, and no statement made during the show shall constitute tax or legal advice. Our firm is not affiliated with or endorsed by the U.S. government or any governmental agency. The information and opinions contained herein provided by third parties have been obtained from sources believed to be reliable, but accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed by Gold Shield Wealth. This radio show is a paid placement. Any and all services related to Medicare are an outside business activity and are not offered through or supervised by Impact Partnership Wealth, IPW, LLC. Gold Shield Wealth has a strategic partnership with tax professionals and attorneys who can provide tax and or legal advice.